All right, y'all. So here's what I'm going to do. We are going to go ahead and get started if that works for you. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is thanks for being here. As members of the board who are here can tell you, getting this communication specialist stuff kicked off right has been a big deal for us. And so we're glad to be able to do it. I'm glad I'm able to be here for it. And I want to thank you all for being here because this will be my last official call for Sertoma. So thank you all for being here. So with that, I am going to figure out my own screen share and we'll do some talking here. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. Hopefully I can get this right. And here's what I need. I know what I need to do.
Lucy, I figured out my camera wasn't on.
There you go. I knew you'd get it, Steve.
Bring it over. So here we go. I want to say first, thanks so much for being here. This is an important one for us, and we're super excited to be able to do this. So this is the kickoff for communication specialists and hopefully a rebooted communication specialist so that we can get this running the right way. First, what we want to do is talk about what the process looks like. Vision 2020 has gone through some revision over time, and want to reset a little bit. And let's talk about our two specialist categories who actually speak with clubs on a regular basis. And those are our mission specialists and communication specialists. Here's what they do. Mission specialists, pretty simple. They promote Sertoma's philanthropy, but almost just as importantly, they also work with clubs on their own philanthropic endeavors, whether it's advising, helping out, whatever they can do. Our communication specialists, this is probably the hub of everything. It's easy to say that communication specialists pass down messages and bring questions back. That's the crux of it. But there's more to it, as we'll talk about here in a couple of minutes. First, let's talk about how we picked this, how we did this. It's always been communication specialists. The idea is that they're organized by something other than just geography, right? It's not just the clubs that you're close to, but it's always been a trick to figure out what those parameters are. So here's how it works. Organized first by region. So in other words, all of you are working with clubs within your region, not outside of your region, right? From there, we did our best to organize clubs by mission. What do you do? Who do you work with? What do you support? What's your philanthropic goal? What's your mission? From there, we organize by size. In other words, we'll put larger clubs with larger clubs and smaller clubs with smaller. And then if we've got nothing else and nowhere else to group really naturally, then we'll start looking at geography from there. All of you here were appointed by your regional director, and then that appointment was confirmed by the president. Your regional director has been instructed and has agreed to meet with you all quarterly. And then as a specialist, our ask is that you meet with your clubs quarterly. It doesn't have to be a big meeting like this. It can be a phone call. It can be a check-in. If you're really good at texting back and forth, you can do that as well. But somehow communicating with each of your clubs on a quarterly basis. So this changes what the structure of Sertoma looks like in a leadership structure at that national level. You've got club leadership, and from there, there's opportunities at the national level. There's national committees and work available there. And then here's where we're at. We are here, specialist level. From there, we have director, and from there, the executive offices of the board. So specialists, as a communication specialist, as a mission specialist, you really fit into the national leadership structure of Sertoma. And I think it's a good idea to have a good picture of exactly where that is. So we've done this before, right? We have done all of this before. We sat right here nearly 2 years ago and said, let's do this is what it's going to look like. This is Vision 2020. So what's different? What's different today? First of all, we're organized differently. We organize our clubs differently. We're talking about our messaging differently. But there's one big picture thing that's different, and that is this. you are reporting up through your regional director. You are not reporting to staff. You are not reporting to anyone in the headquarters office. And you are not reporting to anyone who's a national officer. You are reporting directly to your regional director. So what that changes is the accountability structure. And if you were at national or you've watched any of the streaming, you saw me talk a little bit about this. So I'm going to reiterate it here today. We're asking everyone to be accountable and to hold everyone else accountable. We're asking club leaders to hold you all, communication specialists, accountable for making this contact. We're also asking communication specialists, you all, to hold club leaders accountable for actually taking the time to talk. We know these are a couple of places where it's been tough before. We've asked the regional directors to hold you all, communication specialists, accountable the same way to actually make these calls. We're asking the club leaders to then hold the regional directors accountable. Meet with your communication specialists so we know what's going on and we know you're getting the messages back. The executive board is asking the regional directors to do the same thing, hold that accountability there as well. And the executive board is holding us accountable as headquarters staff to ensure that we're giving communication specialists and clubs the support that we can. So with all that said, what are the expectations? Well, we've talked a little bit about this. It's talking to your clubs at least quarterly and meeting with your regional director quarterly. What I want to really point out about this is that there's a term that we've kicked around a lot, and that's relationships. As a communication specialist, one of your most important jobs here is to build that relationship. We looked at where you fit in the national structure. And so what that means is you are the most direct conduit for a club to talk to the national leadership of Sertoma. And so in addition to bringing down messages from national, more importantly, frankly, the more important job that we're asking you to do is to get to know your clubs. Ask them questions, learn about them. You shouldn't have more than about 10, there might be a few of you who have 11 or 12. So take the time over the course of a quarter, take the time. Learn about what these clubs are doing. What are their missions? Where are their pain points? What do they have problems with? What do they need help with? You are the ones who can draw those broad strokes so that we can look at and see what we need to do, what programs we need to help clubs. And you are the ones who have that real information so that when that comes back to regional directors, the regional director can then say, you know, my region is really having an issue with retention. They're recruiting just fine, but we've got an issue with retention across the board. Your data is what comes back so they can make that. The other expectation you have is a meeting with your regional director quarterly. Starting with the next quarter, your regional director will be scheduling a call with all of you to have these conversations and talk about what's going on. So with that said, I know what everyone wants to know is this: what is the messaging? What are we talking about? What are we doing this quarter? So here's what we're starting with here. There are a few things that are important to get across. The first one, of course, executive director search. Right, there's a search process in place right now. Darryl sent an email out to every member of Sertoma at the end of August. Here's where we're at. Your board is in the process right now of finalizing a search firm hire, and that decision will be made in early October. Do me a favor and mute for me if you have it. All right. So go back to that email, and if you need another copy, let me know. I'm happy to send it out to you. Next thing we need to talk about is the club grants. If you have not heard about this program, this is similar to the COVID-19 grants. And in fact, it works so well that we're doing it forever. We will be granting, there is a grant program now for clubs to help with their own local mission. The applications are all online. They're due November 1st. Keep your ear to the ground because that will come up a lot. You can also find the information online. And if you're on Facebook, you'll see this a lot. So just please watch your email. Every single email you get from us, I promise you, whether it's a leadership email or the e-newsletter that goes to all members, will mention club grants from now until November 1st. The next one is National Service Project. If you remember, our National Service Project in May was a great success. We put over 500 portable information loops into different communities around the country. And based on feedback from clubs, we're doing it again. And this year we want to focus on schools. Last year we focused on medical officers, and this year we want to focus on schools. So that project is going on even now as we speak. Clubs are ordering now, and we're getting things ready. And the last thing is, for sure, like I said, learn some about your clubs, learn about their challenges, and learn about their major projects. That's probably one of the most important things to do with this quarter. You know, you've got these clubs for at least a year. And so building that relationship right off the bat is going to be hugely important. Those are the big high points. That's what we wanted to make sure to hit to kick this off. From here, the process looks like this. Your regional director will be in touch with you, setting up calls to do that quarterly, to get information back and have these conversations on a regional basis. But for now, what I really want to do is turn off my screen share like that, so that I can talk to you. What sorts of questions do you have? What can I answer? How can I help tonight?
Aaron, I have a question for you.
All right, hang on one second. Darryl, I think, ranks. So and he's waving, so I'm gonna throw Darryl out there first.
Yeah,
Go on.
Aaron, one quick one for the National Service Project. Is it schools or we're going to do libraries? Did we change it?
I was under the impression schools. However, you may damn well be correct, Darryl. I know that there are some. I may have transposed that simply because I know of a few clubs that are doing school libraries, which would fall either place. We'll get that clarified, and I will get an email out
Okay,
to this
please.
group to ensure.
Thanks.
No problem. Yeah.
Aaron?
Do
Aaron?
a hand so I can see you. Otherwise, I just see a group of faces and I hear Aaron.
Aaron,
Yeah, fire away. There you are.
Marty McCaslin, Ohio. Will we be receiving any information from Kansas City, and how will we be receiving that?
So here's a question. I mean, you're on the leadership emails from there to get some more details on all of this stuff that we're talking about. You also get our e-newsletter and our publications. Our goal really is not to send out, here's a bulleted list, read this bulleted list.
Correct.
Our goal is to say, here are the high points of what we'd like for you to communicate. And then the information is there for you. So go through it, grab what you need so you're familiar with it. Because frankly, for something like a club grant, it would be almost impossible for us to cover every single question that a club would have, right? So our hope is that everyone's familiar with what's going on, and if you've got questions, feel free to come to us. Feel free to come to your regional director, and we can get you the right answers so that you can pass that right on back down, and then that just adds to the knowledge bank for everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Buzz.
Hey, I have one question, and it may be helpful to all of us. I noticed that there was information today that the regional Sertoma of the year and regional service to mankind is due November the 1st. We just finished one up in June. Is this normal that we have one this quick?
So unless I'm remembering the timeline incorrectly, Amy, that is the one we're talking about.
The clubs did the club level in June, July. The regional level to the national level is due November 1st.
There you go.
Okay.
So that's
So
the one where
it's the same award, it's just the different level.
right.
Thank
You're
you.
in the same year. So in other words, we're looking for your let me do this right, 2021 Sertoma of the year.
Thank you.
Right. That always takes a second. Rich, and then Father Chris, and then B.
No, Aaron,
Rich, there we
you
go.
already answered my question, Aaron. I'm good. Thank you.
Oh, well, good. All
Yeah.
right, Father Chris.
Yeah, just one quick question. I think it would be really helpful if each one of us got like a one pager with the staff on the national office and one or two lines of what their responsibility are. So that, for example, if the club asks me something about insurance, I can say, oh, here's the number, contact so-and-so, here's her email. She handles the insurance for all clubs.
I'll tell you what, Father Chris, as a special gift, a parting gift, I'll get that to you tomorrow. How's that?
That'll be great. Yeah, just a
I can do
little
that.
two-liners so that when these questions come up, we can bang them right away.
I can do that. That's easy breezy. That would be great.
Great.
Ms. B,
Aaron, so last year, when we were doing this before, we had to make a report each quarter to Sertoma. Do now we report to the regional director?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And if it is helpful, or if your regional director asks, hey, please, write some notes out for me. They may do that, and that's perfectly great. Some regional directors may say, hop on a call with me and let's just talk. I think it will depend upon the region. It's one of those things that, we talked about how onerous that was to fill out the report every single time for every single meeting.
Yep.
And so there you go.
And I'd like to point out that there is 4 people that have the emoticon raised for questions. Can you see
I
that?
don't see a single one. I don't know why I don't see it.
Tim Romero does, Robert White does, and Dennis Saylor does.
Okay, fantastic. So B, will you help me then? Will you
Yes.
call on people?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, because I
Okay.
can't see it at all.
All right. So Tim, I call on
Hey,
Tim.
okay, thanks, B. Couple things. First, on that November deadline, Heart of America's convention's not till the first week in November. So normally the announcement on the regional is made at that time. We're not going to have our name until the second week in November. Just
Tim, Stephanie, what if I promise we're going to keep it confidential?
well, that's up to Stephanie. That's Stephanie. That'll be on
That's
hers.
fine. I can send it before. I'll send it the
Okay.
first, but yeah.
Okay. All right. The other question that I have is it possible when we got our list, we got it by name, an email address, and a phone number? And 4 of mine did not have email addresses, which I don't understand that.
You have literally everything we have, Tim.
We don't have an address for them.
You have everything I have.
Okay. All right. I'm just curious because that's just unbelievable.
You want to
to
mail?
me,
Oh, wait, you want a mailing address?
Yes.
I think I can do that, Amy.
I don't
Probably,
mind.
But you can also, if there's somebody specific you want to, you can go look it up in the member directory online too, by person.
Right.
Yeah, if it's a handful, that's probably going to be faster
Yeah.
to go
Okay.
that direction.
I mean, to me,
Yeah.
I don't mind putting a stamp on a letter, paying for it myself. I don't have any problem with that. It's a lot more personal. And I've already sent out a bunch of emails in this first batch and got no response except for one person who said, I'm not the guy anymore. Here's the guy. And I put him in the loop and he hadn't contacted. So I'm going to have to redo those and go back. And so I'll go on and look them up and get their their mailing address.
Well, and honestly, I can tell you, I think I'm not speaking out of turn, Darryl, if I say that, as you have issues with your club, I think it's perfectly reasonable for you to go to Stephanie, let Stephanie hit a couple of them. And if we continue to have issues, I think Darryl will probably jump in for you.
Well, let me give them a chance to make a few phone calls and follow-ups. And then if we don't get any response, I'll take that next round.
Perfect. B, who do we have?
Robert is next.
Hey, Robert.
Hey there, how are you? The best of luck as you endeavor
Thank you so
and
much.
move on. But my question was around that same thing. When you get the list, if the numbers are not correct for the designated people, you should try to contact. How do you play out with that? So we're saying, look in the directory. If we don't get the response we need, then go back to Darryl and let Darryl assist us.
Well, okay, so this is different. This is a different solution. So if you've got an incorrect number, right, and the number's not right, you call the number and it's somebody else. Here's the problem. You have what I have.
Okay.
There's not a different number necessarily. My advice would be to hit another officer in line and ask them, do you know how I can get in touch with so-and-so, your president, and I'm trying to get in touch with, here's the number I have, it's not right.
Right.
And then any of that stuff you get that's corrected, let us know. We're happy to correct it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that was the biggest
Darryl.
thing, because I know that has been some issues before with not being able to
You bet.
contact certain people. And so now with this trying to be rolled out, if you run into that, so we would exalt, everything we need to, but you're saying anything we get that you don't have, send it your way so you can update your records accordingly.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Darryl, jump in.
So here's what has come up at two of the regional conventions so far. And basically what it amounts to is we have a list of leaders at headquarters Sertoma. What you have is what we have at Sertoma. Okay, so as you go through your list, your contact list, and contact your clubs, one of the things we talked about is accountability. So what we need to do is help sort through all the chaff out there and get to the bottom line. So what it means is, the question is, have the clubs submitted their Form 130s updating their club officers as required so that they're effective 1 July? If they have not, then, we have the old list of officers. If they have, then we need to audit trail back and find out if we at Sertoma loaded a bad list of people. Okay, so this is basically just sorting through the database and making sure we have the most updated data. But each time you run into clubs, the question with old data, the question to ask them first is, did you submit a Form 130 to Sertoma headquarters? If they have not done that, then we're going to have old data. So this is the accountability piece we're all talking about. It is basically to sort through all this stuff so we get the current people so that it makes contacting people easier. Okay, the other part, remember, the list of officers that we're using is where all your information is going to those clubs. So if the clubs are not getting that information, that's the reason why, especially if they're not transferring the information to the new officers. So then you have an internal communication problem within the clubs. So those are the kinds of things we're trying to sort through. And what we really need to do is your help in sorting through this and getting to the right leaders and making sure we got them on file so the right information is getting to the right people down in the clubs. Okay, so this may require a little more work on making sure that all the information is up to date. That's what I got.
Dennis, you had your hand raised. Do you have a question?
No, it got answered. Thank you.
Okay, then Buzz is next.
For the communication specialist in my grouping, Aaron sent out an updated listing of the clubs that you should have, and please check your email. If you did not get it, call me at 803-673-3304 and we'll get it straightened out. Thank you. And thank you, Aaron.
I saw Rick's hand. I saw it that time.
Okay,
no, I
I
was
don't know if
just-
he had his hands raised or if he was clapping.
Who's that? I just wanted to jump on what Darryl was saying. It is important that if there is a change or some club has wrong information, to let the regional director know about it, because we will make sure that that form is filled out and sent to national. So at least we can follow up on it and make sure we're getting it.
Usually, yeah, your regional director is a good, we want to establish regional directors as the hammer, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Bill, I think had a question.
Just for Aaron, is he going to be a national member or will he find local club?
We'll have to see. I think I do have to. I'm a member right now of the Afton Club still. So I think I'm going to need to leave the Afton Club. I think it's going to be very hard for me to be a virtual member in Afton when I'm not actually working at Sertoma. And so Liberty is close to me. So I may be up at Liberty.
Just as long as you're a member of a club.
And there you go.
We have room for you at Lexington, South Carolina.
You got Lucy over there.
Yeah, I would just like to reiterate on what everybody's saying. And I think that the main thing is that our communication specialists need to talk to the regional directors and not, constantly calling headquarters. So they should call us first if they have any problems. And I'm already getting ready to have a meeting with mine end of this month because they've already started. So I just do believe that they do need to contact the regional director first if they have any problems contacting clubs or anything the clubs have to say, and then we can filter it on up so national is not bombarded with a bunch of calls.
It's an important loop, Lucy. Thank you very much.
Well, I found as a regional director, it's kind of like Christ and the 10 lepers. One thanked him, and that's about out of my 10. I usually get 1 or 2 that reply every quarter. The rest of them, I don't know what it is. But it's neither here nor there.
Steve, and I see Steve and I see Rich Vandiver talking. I saw hands there. Did I see hands or clapping?
Me, I had a response, not a question. All the questions have been answered, but I had a response to several people talking about the information is bad. I found the last year or two that sometimes you can go on Facebook and actually search for a Sertoma Club and find a Facebook page and actually make a contact through that. I actually did that.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing that we don't have information and can't get in touch with people, but you can go to Facebook, and I found a person that communicated with me enough that I found out who I needed to see. So just a word of thought, you might search some of those Facebook pages and find a club that has a Facebook page.
It's a good way out.
All right, we'll try it again. Are you there?
I think
Gotcha.
Rich Van.
Aaron, first of all, I want to tell you how much of a pleasure it's been to have you with us. And I wish you would be here for a long time, but I know you got to move on. The clubs in South Carolina, as everybody knows, sometimes that information is not updated promptly. In South Carolina, Camp Sertoma has tried very, very hard to keep all of our contact information up to date. I know we have a lot of people around the country that have South Carolina clubs, which surprises me and disturbs me, but that's okay. If you have a club in South Carolina you can't reach, if you'll let me know or Buzz know, we will get in touch with that club or help you find the contact person for them.
Perfect. Appreciate it. All right, y'all.
Aaron?
Hey, gotcha.
Will we have periodically another meeting like this with all the communication specialists sharing what we are going through and what we can expect from other regions?
Here's what I would say. I think this is one of those that I think that's probably out of my wheelhouse to say yes or no. That said, I'm making an educated guess with knowing Darryl by saying that is something that Darryl will probably be evaluating absolutely constantly. And I would be surprised if that's not on the docket at some point.
If we could keep communication within this group, that would be very helpful to all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, Marty, this is Darryl. One of the things that we talked about was the feedback from the clubs. And that's going to be a key part of moving us forward into the future. We need to know, and unfortunately you weren't at the Great Lakes Convention. We need to know from clubs how we can help them. Okay. And like I told the Great Lakes and the others, I can't get you members, but we can sure talk about different strategies and ideas and link you up with clubs that are doing a good job or seem to be succeeding in recruiting or attracting young members, that kind of thing. So yes, the intent is we will probably have get-togethers to discuss ideas and thoughts so that we can meld them together into a strategy for moving us forward. I was surprised when I went to Anderson and found out that the Anderson Sertoma Club in Anderson, Indiana has a bunch of young members. And I was just thrilled. So we're going to link them up with Renee and find out and have Renee talk to them about why they joined and, you know, what's keeping them there. So that's the intent, is we will get feedback from all of you, hopefully, that we can meld together into a plan for the future.
Great, thank you.
Perfect.
Back to you, Aaron.
All right. Well, this one is being recorded. We'll clip this down a little bit and we will send this out to everybody so you can all access it online. Those of us who couldn't be here tonight can go through and watch and be here for questions. And I want to thank you all for being willing to do this. You know, you are the linchpin of what we do. And so it's really important. Darryl, did you want to sign them off?
I had one alibi. You know, we talked about making sure that the points of contact were correct. I know it was sent out to the leadership of your clubs, but the new club insurance policy information went out to all those leaders. So that's another thing that when you talk to your clubs, make sure your club leaders have seen that and looked at it, because they need to be familiar with that to protect their clubs. Okay, Aaron, I'm done.
Very much so. All right. I want to thank you all very much for being here tonight. I don't want to keep you any longer than we need to. Thank you all for doing what you do. And thank you all for such a fantastic experience. I really appreciate it.